Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we are doing the final thoughts video on the Team Corally Kronos XTR. Full disclosure guys, this truck was sent to me from Team Corally. So we're gonna do our typical final thoughts on this truck. For anyone that's new to the channel, welcome. This is where we speak on the final thoughts of the truck. At this time, there's been an overview of this truck, a video on the electronics installed, and some of the adjustments that we've done to this truck before taking it out, and then our run videos of this truck. There's about maybe a few run videos on road, off road, ripping, hitting the ramps, hitting a dirt pile. There's quite a few videos of this truck. Plus I have a bunch of shorts on this truck as well. So if you guys are not familiar with the channel, please do check out that playlist that has all of the previous videos done to date on this truck. But today we're going to talk about the final thoughts. And in our final thoughts videos, we cover electronics, which this one comes as a roller. So I'll talk about the electronics that I installed and how I thought it performed on this truck. The drivetrain, which we're speaking about the front drive shafts, the center drive shafts, the rear drive shafts, and the differentials on this truck. We'll talk about the handling and suspension, which is what we're going to talk about, the shocks, support arms, how this thing handled in the turns, how it handled ripping, hitting the ramps. Then we'll talk about durability, what broke, what didn't break, workability on how easy is this truck to work on, support, which is where we'll talk about our communication with Team Corally. Yes, I do have a direct line with Team Corally in regards to any concerns or anything that I do have in regards to this truck as part of the program. What would it be from a regular user's experience with getting support for this truck? And the new section that I've added to the videos at this point, which is the skill set level of this truck. So we have a star rating from 1 to 5, and basically I'll talk about where I see this truck falling into the skill set level for this truck. And then the opinionated parts of the discussion: is it worth it, and would I buy it again? So let's first speak on electronics. Typically at this point I would speak about the controller and the receiver, but this truck I went ahead and installed my trusty True Futaba system. I don't have a problem with that, and of course I did not have a problem with range on this truck, so we'll just skip past that section at this time. The controller for this roller is going to be whatever you install on it, and depending on how well that system will be is going to be what your experience is going to be in regards to the controller. As for the servo on this truck, I installed the stock RTR servo for this truck. So I took the servo directly out of my Kronos 2021 edition and installed it on this truck. Performed well, guys. I never really have a problem with the Team Corally servos, and this was no different. I thought it handled these big meets fairly well with load on 6S. I only drove this truck on 6S, and it performed well with the 6S system and that servo. As for the ESC and the motor, we're running the Team Corally 6S motor on this truck. And for the ESC, I'm actually running a Hobby Wing Max 6 ESC. By far, I think that was probably the best pairing I've ever done for this truck. And yes, the Team Corally ESC and motor, very good systems. I have no problems with them, but I wanted to change it up for this truck. I wanted to try something a little bit different, and especially since this is an XTR, wanted to give it a little bit more boost than what I normally get in the Team Corally systems. Now, the Team Corally power systems are tremendous when it comes to power, but I wanted to kick it up a notch for the XTR. Running that Max 6, it is so smooth. Yes, the Max 6 is rated for 8S. I have no plans of running this truck on 8S. The motor is only spec'd out for 6S, so that's why I plan on limiting this only to 6S. But it is a lot of power, guys. Check out those running videos. This truck runs amazing with that Max 6 system. No heat issues for the motor or for the ESC on this truck. I think it's probably the best setup to install on this truck is that setup that I have right now. Drivetrain. So let's talk about the drive shafts, the front drive shafts, the center drive shaft, the rear drive shaft, and also the front, center, and rear differentials. I did not have any issues with the differentials, guys, but full disclosure, The center differential, I went ahead and I put 1 mil diff fluid in the center. I kept the front and the rear stock. Perfect setup once again, especially if you're planning on running the Max 6. Just rode butter smooth, guys. So much control in the air, feather touch. I mean, it was amazing with how this thing is set up. If you are going to pick up an XTR and you want to run the way that you see mine is running in the videos, I'm running 1 mil stock in the front and rear, and I'm running that Max 6 system with the Team Corally motor. Perfect setup. Now for the tires on this truck, I did aerate them, guys. Do not drill holes in the seam of the 2 holes, 1 on each side. You know, kind of stops the ballooning. I taped the hole in the inside of the wheel, and it's perfect, guys. So it limits the amount of ballooning that you get from these tires. And I have to say that these tires are now one of my favorite RTR tires. I run this also on my Savage XL, and I got one more of the truck I'm probably gonna run these on that I wanna see how it performs, but these are my new favorite RTR tires out there. They're nice, they're soft, they perform well in the conditions that I drive in, which is mainly grass and also loose gravel. I truly enjoy these tires, and it is probably one of my new favorite RTR tires to run on other trucks. As for the shocks, I felt the shocks are set up perfectly for this truck. It's butter smooth. It takes the jumps well. It handles on the roads well. I did not have an issue with how the shocks are set up, how the shocks are tuned. The oil is perfect on here. None of the shock oils leaked out in transportation of this truck. That also held up pretty well. I gotta say, guys, it is a very impressive vehicle, the XTR, and how it comes out of the box to you. But once again, no issues whatsoever in regards to the shocks and how the shocks are set up on its maiden voyage and all of the runs that I've done with this vehicle. Durability. Only 1 part broke on this entire truck throughout my runs with it, and that was the wing washer on the rear. It's about a $4.60 part. Very minimal. If you didn't even want to buy the part to replace it, you could put washers on. It's basically the same thing. That's all that broke on it, guys. The wing pulled right through and it ripped out the wing washer that's out here on the rear, and that was it. That's the only break I had. No breaks, no issues with diffs. The issue that we had with a lot of the 2021 models where the pillow balls were popping out, this truck has the HD steering blocks on them, so nothing was popping out. I did some crazy landings with this and never once had a pillow ball pop out on this truck. No issues with turnbuckles breaking on the rear. No issues with drive shafts bending, arms breaking, chassis bending. None of that happened on this truck. And, you know, for my driving style, I think I abused this very hard, especially on that run that I, was hitting the dirt pile and hitting the ramps. I thought this truck just handled very well. No bent shock towers on the truck whatsoever. It's a very durable vehicle, guys. I really was surprised how durable the XTR was. Workability. So for workability, I didn't see where this was any more difficult to work on. So I didn't see anything different from this one than any other out there when it comes to working on it, other than removing maybe one extra pin or screw to get the tower-to-tower brace off. But outside of that, it's very easy to work on, guys, especially if you've worked on other Team Corally vehicles before. You're gonna find that this is very similar to all the other trucks. Yes, it has some extra bracing in certain areas, but it wasn't too hard to work around that to get to the center diff and replacing that on this truck. I just felt, and also installing the electronics, I thought that was very simple and straightforward in removing screws and routing the cables around. Just a very easy truck to work on. As for the receiver box, I thought that was a very good spacing for me to put my Futaba receiver in there. And you guys who've seen the Futaba receivers, they're not small, they're pretty good size to them, and it fit in perfectly into the receiver box. Touching on support for this truck through Team Corally, you can reach them via email. For those guys that are local in Europe, you can actually call them and they will provide support to this truck. As I said, I have a direct line to a representative because Team Corally has sent this truck out to me, but I've dealt with Team Corally on other trucks prior to this. I've owned the Radix 6, I've owned the Jambo, the Kronos 2021 edition. All of these trucks, and even the Skeeter, all of these trucks I've had prior to Team Corally sending me this truck, and each last one of them, I've reached out to them for other needs, and I've had no issues with them reaching back out to me and clarifying some of the issues that I've had with those trucks in the past. Mainly when we're speaking of issues that I've had with specifically the Jambo and the Kronos 2021, it was getting the HD steering blocks for those 2021 editions, and ordering also the tower-to-tower brace for the Jambo at the time. No issues when it came time to order those parts up, no issues in reaching out to them to get a better understanding on some of those parts, and no issues in getting the steering blocks that they replaced free of charge for the Jambo and the Kronos 2021 edition. As for parts availability, mainly right now within the US, you're going to get most of your parts from Hobby Recreation Parts, HRP, and there are several other companies online where you can get parts for this truck. The other options are with also Euro RC and directly from Team Corally. So you have a number of options to get parts for this truck, hop-up parts if you need them. I didn't feel I needed them for this truck. There's a lot of spring steel, a lot of bracing support on this truck. This truck is built to take the abuse. So I didn't have any issues with getting additional hop-up parts because I thought this truck comes pretty hopped up for what it is. For the skill set rating, I'm gonna give this thing a 4 stars. And the reason for that, it is a roller. You do have to install your electronics, probably tune the diffs based on the electronics that you do install. It does require some prior knowledge of RC, so I won't give it a 3-star. And that leads us into, is it worth it? Is the Kronos XTR 2022 edition worth your money at this time? At the time of this video, this truck is going for about $450 US. Yes, it is a roller. You do have to spend the extra money for your electronics, which is the motor, the ESC, the servo, the receiver, and the controller if you do not have one. But for $450 and you get a well-built truck like this, I think it's a complete steal, guys. It is one of the hidden gems out there for 2022 is the Kronos XTR. Now, the one thing too that I did to this truck was that I went ahead and I put a flat clear paint on this truck. So mine may look a little bit different on camera than everyone else's because mine doesn't have that sheen. I threw a flat clear on it to kind of take that sheen off. And also for the nuts, I have serrated nuts on here. So typically, Team Corally, they send you the nuts for the truck, but they're not serrated. I have serrated nuts on here. I did not have a problem with the serrated nuts staying on this truck. I actually never drove the truck with the regular nuts on here because I just prefer to run my trucks with serrated nuts on them. And sure enough, no issues with the serrated nuts on this truck. For what you're getting in this truck with all the spring steel, the bracing, everything that you're getting with this truck, it is so much of a value. And if I'm gonna lead right into, would I buy this truck again? And the answer is yes. I would buy the Kronos XTR. I would buy the Kronos XTR just how I see it now. It is a superb truck. And the one thing I want to state too, not only do you get all of this beefed up parts in the truck, but they also send you a second body for this truck, guys. They send you a clear body for the Kronos XTR. And that is for you to paint up the truck any way you see fit. I would definitely buy this truck. Yes, Team Corally did send me this truck out. But I have to say, guys, I would buy this truck if it was an option out there for me to get it. It was one of those trucks that when it first came out, as most of you know, I'm not a big truggy guy. I like the shorter wheelbase vehicles. But when I took this thing out for a drive, it's amazing, guys. This truck drives and handles like it's on rails. It does give you that feeling like it's a race truck in its performance, but yet it has all of this durability for you to bash the hell out of it. When I drove it, it reminded me a lot of my Losi 8, but I had to keep reminding myself to bash it because it is a bash truck. It has the durability behind it to be able to take those jumps, take the tumbles as you're trying to land and things like that. So I just went out with the truck and it's a lot of fun. It is durable. It is a fun truck to drive. I think I love the way that I have it set up. This is my first time running this setup in any of my trucks. And if I find another truck that I will apply this setup in it, I probably will do it. It's perfect for me. As we all know, no truck is perfect. The only thing that I would probably request that Team Corally probably look at to install on this truck, or at least provide in later editions, is some kind of wheelie bar for this truck. I know you could probably, you know, finagle some way to get the Jambo's wheelie bar on here, but I think a wheelie bar for the amount of power that we're putting down to this truck, even if I was just to put the stock Team Corally ESC in here, it's a lot of power for this truck, and a wheelie bar would be nice. And then it wouldn't really apply so much stress on the wing for it to rip through the washer in the rear. That would be my only suggestion that I do have for the XTR. But I gotta say, guys, if you have the opportunity, if the stock is available, if you even see this truck on a sale, grab it, it's worth it. But we're gonna leave this here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest posts to the channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.